Hello, I'm Henderson, the Programming Manager of the Williams County Public Library, with another episode of Oddly Peculiar. Today I'm at 102 North Main Street, otherwise known as the Local History and Genealogical Center of the Williams County Public Library. And today we're going to discuss how this building went from this to this. Many of our viewers will know this building as the Citizens Bank. And it was, in its beginning, purposely built to be a bank in 1900. Before the bank was built, this particular area was known as Carter's Corners. And we're going to give you a small history of Carter's Corners, and also how in 1933, one of America's most famous bank robbers almost knocked over this jug. From 1843 to 1899, standing on this site was Carter's Corners, a wood frame structure that contained a wholesale grocer and many other offices. But in 1899, Carter's Corners, having served its purpose, was torn down, and they built this, the bank building. As you can see, it was 3 stories made of red brick with limestone decoration, and it had 2 entrances, a grand entrance on High Street and a 3-column portico entrance on Main Street. The first floor of this building contained the bank, the second floor contained offices, and the third floor were 2 large halls that could be rented out, and it was also where certain service clubs and men's clubs met. One of my favorite stories about the third floor of this building involves the Williams County Playhouse. The Playhouse didn't have a permanent home at the time in the 1950s, and they would perform on the stage of the old Lincoln School just on Cherry Street. And they used the hall upstairs here as their rehearsal space. They had a play that contained, as a prop, a large cast iron stove. So they carried that stove upstairs, rehearsed, and when it came time to perform, they would carry that stove downstairs, across to Cherry Street, and then after the performance, to clear the stage, they carried it back across Cherry Street and back upstairs. An amazing story of how far artists will go to perform. As I mentioned earlier, in 1933, John Dillinger passed through Bryan and made notes about this bank. By the way, he referred to banks as jugs, and he said that it was the only bank that was open in town, and he could consider knocking it over. So Dillinger cased the joint and almost robbed the bank here in Bryan. In 1962, the 3rd story was removed, and then in 1974, the building was remodeled, and in the brutalist style of the 60s and 70s, it was clad in a composite concrete slabs that you see today. As a matter of fact, when I give directions to my office, I usually tell people that it's at the corner of High and Main in the ugliest building in Bryan. As you can tell when you look at this building, not only the iron ore and the composites, but also the iron pins have started to bleed, giving it a slight weeping appearance. Why did we go from a beautiful Victorian structure to this structure? I have no idea, but it is oddly peculiar.